Peace is the real power. This phrase carries more weight than most people realize. In relationships, especially romantic ones, peace is not just the absence of conflict. It is the presence of calm, emotional safety, and understanding. Many women have been told that they need to look a certain way, act a certain way, or achieve a certain level of success to attract and keep a man. But what often gets overlooked is that one of the most attractive, irresistible traits a woman can offer is peace, a rare and powerful quality that real men are silently craving in a world full of noise, pressure, and expectation. Every day a man is out there battling, whether it's at work, in society, or within himself. The world expects him to be tough, composed, and constantly achieving. By the time he comes home or finally lets his guard down, he's looking for one thing: not just physical rest, but mental and emotional rest. He doesn't want to enter another battleground at home. He's not looking for someone who constantly questions his every move, picks apart his words, or needs to win every argument. He's looking for that woman who knows how to ease his mind, not add to the chaos already swirling inside it. Peace isn't about staying quiet or suppressing your needs. It's about emotional maturity. It's about knowing when to speak, when to listen, and when to let something go. Because keeping the relationship healthy matters more than proving a point. A peaceful woman doesn't mean she's passive. She sets boundaries, but she does it with grace. She communicates her feelings, but she chooses her words with wisdom. She knows that everything doesn't need to become a debate or a drama. She's emotionally intelligent enough to know that peace isn't weakness, it's control. It's power wrapped in self-awareness and calm confidence. A man is naturally drawn to a peaceful woman because she gives him what the world doesn't: a place to be vulnerable. With her, he doesn't have to be on all the time. He doesn't need to impress. He can just breathe. And that breath, that moment of being seen and not judged, becomes everything to him. Peace in a woman feels like a safe harbor after a long, exhausting storm. It's the moment he realizes that she's not just someone he wants, she's someone he needs. Because in her presence, he feels whole. Now, peace doesn't mean she agrees with everything he says. It doesn't mean she never challenges him, but when she does, it's never loud, it's never nasty. It's always intentional and laced with respect. She knows how to stand firm without burning the house down. She knows how to say, "This hurt me," instead of launching an emotional grenade. That kind of strength, the kind that remains calm under pressure, is rare and irresistible to a mature man. The truth is, there are many beautiful women in the world. There are successful, ambitious, brilliant women everywhere. But a peaceful woman, she's one in a million. That's the woman a man wants to come home to. That's the woman he wants to protect, pour into, and build with. Because when a man finds peace in a woman, he starts to associate her presence with rest, with healing, with motivation. Her voice becomes soothing. Her presence becomes grounding. She becomes his recharge, his soft place to land, and suddenly no other kind of woman can compete with that energy. And the beautiful part? Peace doesn't come from being perfect. It comes from being healed. A peaceful woman is someone who has done her inner work. She's not projecting her past pain onto every situation. She's not reacting from insecurity. She's grounded, centered, and whole. That energy shifts everything. When she walks in the room, she doesn't have to demand attention. Her peace commands it. That's the kind of presence that draws real, emotionally mature men like a magnet. So while the world may continue to sell the idea that women need to be louder, bolder, and more competitive to win in love, the truth is, a woman who knows how to create peace is already winning. She doesn't chase. She doesn't beg. She doesn't perform. She simply creates an energy so rare, so healing, and so unforgettable that a man would be a fool to let it go. Peace in the hands of a woman is one of the most powerful tools in love, because where there's peace, there's loyalty, intimacy, and growth. And every real man out here, deep down, is looking for that. Softness doesn't mean weakness, is a truth too many women have forgotten and too many men have misunderstood. Somewhere along the way, the world started convincing women that in order to be respected, they had to be hard, that being gentle, nurturing, or emotionally expressive made them vulnerable, and vulnerability made them targets. So they started putting on armor, talking tougher, loving less, demanding more, because they thought that was the only way to be taken seriously. But what nobody told them was this: real strength is quiet. Real strength doesn't need to shout. And a woman who can stay soft in a hard world is far from weak. She is powerful beyond measure. Softness is not about being passive, naive, or dependent. It's about carrying strength with grace. It's about responding, not reacting. It's about walking away from chaos, not because you're scared, but because your peace matters more than proving a point. A soft woman knows who she is. She doesn't need to dominate a room to be noticed. Her energy speaks before her mouth ever opens. She knows how to uplift without controlling, how to express her truth without tearing someone else down, and how to love deeply without losing herself. Men who are truly secure and emotionally mature aren't looking for a battle partner. They're not searching for a woman who can match their aggression or outdo their ambition. What they really crave is softness, the kind that makes them feel safe enough to put down their own guard. When a woman is soft, she's not trying to compete. She's not in a race for power. She's standing in her feminine energy, fully comfortable in her own skin, and that creates a magnetic pull that no ego can resist. Her softness doesn't say, "I need you." It says, "I choose to let you in." A soft woman listens before she speaks. She observes, she reads the room, and she feels deeply. That emotional depth gives her the ability to connect in ways a hardened heart never could. She can sense when something's off, not because she's dramatic, but because she's tuned in. Her softness is intuitive, protective, healing. And when a man experiences that, he doesn't see weakness, he sees a strength that humbles him. Because she's doing what the world told her not to do. Lead with love, not fear. There's something incredibly powerful about a woman who can be gentle in a world that tried to make her tough. A woman who can cry without shame, who can speak kindly even when she's hurting, who can forgive without being foolish. She's operating on another level. She's not doing it to be liked. She's doing it because she knows her value isn't tied to how loud or forceful she can be. Her softness isn't performative. It's her nature. And she protects it because she knows it's sacred. When a woman is soft, she makes space for intimacy. She invites honesty. She doesn't judge vulnerability. She welcomes it. That softness creates a bond that isn't easily broken because it's rooted in real emotion, not power dynamics. In a relationship, that kind of energy is what brings two people closer. It's what turns conversations into confessions and touches into trust. A man will open up to a soft woman in ways he never would with someone who feels emotionally armored. Not because she's easy, but because she's safe. And make no mistake, being soft in a relationship doesn't mean you let people walk all over you. In fact, soft women often have the strongest boundaries. They say no with clarity, not cruelty. They distance themselves from chaos, not because they can't handle it, but because they refuse to live in it. Their softness doesn't come from fear. It comes from choosing peace over drama, love over pride, truth over ego. That's a kind of strength that doesn't need to be explained, it's felt. The truth is, it takes more strength to stay soft than to become hard. It's easy to be cold when you've been hurt. It's easy to build walls and push people away. What's hard is staying open. What's hard is loving again when you've been betrayed. What's hard is showing compassion when you've been shown none. That's why softness is not weakness. It's survival with a heart still intact. It's courage wrapped in calm. It's power in its most elegant form. Women who embrace their softness aren't losing in love. They're elevating it. They're creating safe, sacred spaces that draw real connection, not surface-level attraction. They're not scared to feel, to nurture, to be warm, because they know that a soft woman doesn't chase, doesn't beg, and doesn't break under pressure. She simply stands in who she is, fully, quietly, and unshakably. And that's a kind of power the world never saw coming. Femininity is energy, not appearance, is a truth that challenges everything society has pushed on women for generations. From a young age, women are taught to associate femininity with how they look. The dress, the heels, the makeup, the curves. They're sold a version of womanhood that's wrapped in packaging, not essence. But real femininity has nothing to do with outer looks. It's an energy. It's a presence. It's how a woman makes people feel, how she carries herself, how she embraces the rhythm of who she truly is when she stops trying to be what the world expects. You can put a woman in designer clothes and fill her vanity with luxury products, but that doesn't mean she's feminine. You can dress the part and still miss the point, because femininity can't be bought, painted on, or filtered through a lens. It's felt, it's lived, it's the softness in your voice, the depth in your eyes, the grace in your silence. It's your ability to receive without guilt, to nurture without conditions, and to hold space for love, emotion, and intuition. That energy has nothing to do with fashion trends. It's a vibration. A truly feminine woman could be wearing sweatpants, hair tied up, no makeup on, and still walk into a room and change the atmosphere. Her presence speaks before her words do. It's in the way she listens, it's in the way she moves, not rushed, not loud, not forceful, but flowing, intentional, magnetic. She knows herself, she trusts herself, and that confidence wrapped in calmness creates an undeniable pull. That's what makes her unforgettable. Not how she looks, but how she makes people feel when they're around her. Men don't remember the dress, they remember the feeling. They remember how peaceful she made them feel, how safe, how understood. They remember how she laughed with her whole body, how she didn't try to compete, how she didn't try to dominate, yet still held her power in the most graceful way. That's femininity. It's the emotional intelligence to know when to speak and when to stay silent. It's the strength to surrender when necessary. It's the wisdom to lead with softness, not ego. In today's world, many women have been conditioned to fear their feminine energy. They've been told it's weak, outdated, submissive, so they mask it with hardness. They become hyper-independent, overly logical, emotionally disconnected. But no matter how much they succeed outwardly, there's still a void. Because true femininity isn't about shrinking yourself or silencing your voice. It's about honoring the core of who you are without shame. To know who you are without shame mean being aggressive, and being soft doesn't mean being naive. When a woman reconnects with her feminine energy, she doesn't lose control, she regains alignment. She stops chasing, she starts attracting. She no longer feels the need to prove herself in every room because her energy speaks louder than her credentials. She becomes intuitive. She becomes present. She taps into the natural flow that allows life, love, and abundance to come to her without force. People feel that shift. It's not a look, it's a presence. This kind of energy is healing. It allows others to relax, to feel seen, to feel held. In relationships, this energy creates emotional safety. The kind men often don't know how to ask for, but crave deeply. They may not be able to name it, but they feel it. It's the reason they feel calm around her. It's the reason they want to protect her, to cherish her. Because her femininity isn't demanding, it's inviting. It calls a man to rise up, not to shrink down. This energy is powerful because it doesn't push, it pulls. It doesn't chase, it receives. It doesn't shout, it whispers in a language only the soul understands. It doesn't perform, it simply is. That kind of femininity can't be faked. It comes from within. It comes from a place of emotional clarity, spiritual strength, and inner peace. It's born when a woman stops trying to be everything and starts simply being herself. And that's why femininity, in its purest form, is never about what you wear or how you're shaped. It's not in the lashes or the lipstick or the label on your bag. It's in your energy, in how you love, how you give, how you live. It's in your willingness to be soft in a hard world, to feel deeply, to nurture unapologetically, and to stand in your truth with grace. When a woman owns that, she doesn't, a network error occurred. Please check your connection and try again. If this issue persists, please contact us through our help center at help@openai.com. Playfulness builds deeper bonds is a truth about relationships that often gets overlooked in a world obsessed with seriousness, structure, and status. Somewhere along the line, people started thinking that maturity meant being constantly stoic, composed, or emotionally reserved. But what many don't realize is that in real, lasting love, it's not just the deep talks, goals, or shared values that hold people together. It's the laughter, it's the silly moments, the inside jokes, the teasing smiles, and the freedom to be fully, unapologetically yourself without fear of judgment. That playfulness is not immaturity, it's emotional closeness. It's where love breathes. When two people can be playful with each other, it means they've created a space where walls can come down. In a playful relationship, you can be goofy, you can say dumb things, make weird faces, dance off beat in the kitchen, and not worry about looking foolish. That freedom to be light is rooted in trust. It shows that both people feel emotionally safe, unguarded, and connected. You're not walking on eggshells. You're not performing. You're simply being. And that authenticity becomes the glue that holds everything else together. Playfulness keeps the relationship young, no matter how long you've been together. It reminds you that life doesn't always have to be heavy. Relationships already carry responsibilities, bills, hard talks, and difficult moments. But when a couple knows how to laugh through it all, when they can find humor in the chaos, they build something stronger than romance. They build resilience. That kind of connection doesn't fade easily because it's not based on performance. It's based on companionship and the joy of being together in the simplest ways. Men especially are drawn to women who are playful because it gives them room to let their guard down. Many men grow up in environments where they're told to be strong, serious, or in control all the time. But when they find a woman who can crack jokes, play fight, or tease them with affection, it unlocks a softer part of them, the part that just wants to be seen, accepted, and loved without pressure. That playfulness allows them to be human again, not just a provider, protector, or partner with expectations to fulfill. It reminds them what it feels like to be truly enjoyed. And women benefit just as much from being playful in a relationship. It reconnects them with their feminine lightness, that natural flow of joy and laughter that makes her feel alive. In the right relationship, playfulness becomes an expression of love. It's the spontaneous road trip, the late-night dance party, the shared laughter over absolutely nothing. It's the spark that keeps things from going stale. Without it, a relationship can start to feel like a job or a business contract. With it, the connection stays alive, passionate, and human. Playfulness also diffuses tension. It's hard to stay mad when someone makes you laugh. It's hard to hold on to pride when the person you love pulls you into a tickle war or jokingly calls you out with a smile. Those lighthearted moments don't erase conflict, but they do help soften it. They remind both people that even during disagreements, they're still on the same team. That shared sense of humor creates emotional shortcuts back to love. You don't always need a deep conversation. Sometimes all it takes is a joke, a funny face, or a silly dance to break the ice and find your way back to each other. When a couple can laugh together, they're not just having fun, they're strengthening their emotional bond. Science even backs this up. Laughter releases oxytocin, the same hormone responsible for bonding and connection. So those playful moments aren't just cute, they're biologically bonding two people on a deeper level. Every time you laugh with your partner, you're literally wiring your brain to associate joy, safety, and love with them. That kind of connection isn't built through grand gestures or perfect Instagram photos. It's built through those tiny, unscripted, joyful interactions. Playfulness is also a sign of presence. You can't be playful if you're stuck in your head, worried about the future or holding on to the past. You have to be in the moment. You have to be there, fully, genuinely, and willingly. That kind of emotional availability is what keeps couples connected even when life gets hard. When you can laugh in the middle of a mess, you're not just surviving, you're thriving. You're showing up for each other not just as lovers, but as best friends. And that, more than anything else, is what makes love last. Authenticity over perfection is one of the most powerful mindsets a person, especially a woman, can embrace in relationships. In a world obsessed with filters, facades, and flawless presentations, there's something deeply magnetic about someone who chooses to show up as they are instead of who they think they're supposed to be. We live in a time where perfection is constantly performed, online, in conversations, even in dating. Everyone's trying to be the most impressive, the most polished, the most desirable version of themselves. But the truth is, what truly connects people is not perfection, it's honesty, it's rawness, it's the courage to say, this is me, I'm not flawless, but I'm real. Authenticity means embracing your whole self, the strengths, the struggles, the quirky habits, and even the insecurities. It's not about putting your mess on display, but about being emotionally honest with the people in your life. When someone is authentic, they're not performing. They're not overthinking every move. They're living in alignment with who they really are. And that's incredibly attractive, especially to men who are tired of games, masks, and surface-level connections. Real men aren't looking for perfect, they're looking for truth. They want someone they can trust, not just someone who looks good in a photo. Perfection As tempting as it is an illusion. Nobody lives there. The pressure to always say the right thing, to always look flawless, to never show weakness, it's exhausting and it builds walls instead of bridges. When someone is always performing perfection, it creates distance. You can admire them, but you can't reach them. You can be impressed by their image, but you can't truly know them. And eventually the performance gets tiring for both people. Because behind that perfect exterior is usually a deep fear of not being enough, of not being loved if the mask comes off. But ironically, it's when the mask does come off that real connection begins. Authenticity is what builds emotional intimacy. When you're honest about your past, when you speak your truth without trying to tailor it for approval, when you laugh at your own awkward moments instead of hiding them, that's when someone really sees you. And when they see the real you and still choose to love you, that's powerful. That's when love becomes secure, because it's not built on fantasy, it's built on truth. And truth always lasts longer than illusion. There's something deeply freeing about being with someone who doesn't pretend. You can breathe around them. You don't have to guess what they're feeling or play detective to figure out who they really are. You just know, and in that knowing, trust is born. That kind of relationship doesn't require constant validation because both people feel safe being seen. They don't love each other for what they pretend to be. They love each other for what they actually are. A woman who is authentic sends a powerful message without ever saying a word. She's saying, I value truth over image. I know who I am, and I'm not afraid to be her. That kind of energy is rare because it takes self-respect, it takes healing, it takes the bravery to be misunderstood, to not always be liked, and to walk away from situations where you can't be your true self. But the reward is unmatched because the connection she builds will be real. The love she receives will be rooted in reality, not fantasy. And she won't have to exhaust herself maintaining a version of her that doesn't exist. Men are more intuitive than they're often given credit for. They can feel when a woman is being real. And even if they can't always explain it, they're drawn to it because being around someone who's authentic feels like home. There's no pressure to impress, no fear of judgment, no games to play. It's just two human beings connecting on a soul level because they've both decided that being real matters more than being perfect. Authenticity also allows for growth. When you're not pretending to have it all together, you give yourself room to evolve. You're open to learning, to changing, to admitting mistakes, and that humility becomes a bridge between you and your partner. Instead of always needing to be right, you focus on being honest. Instead of hiding your flaws, you own them. And in doing so, you give the other person permission to do the same. That mutual vulnerability becomes the foundation of something real, something lasting. Something that isn't built on performance, but on presence. Because at the end of the day, love that's rooted in authenticity is the only kind worth keeping. A woman in her feminine power doesn't chase is a truth that flips the script on everything many women have been taught about love, connection, and self-worth. We live in a culture that constantly pressures women to prove their value, to initiate, to pursue, to impress, to compete. There's this underlying message that if you don't go after what you want, someone else will get it first. But the truth is, when a woman steps fully into her feminine energy, that deep, magnetic presence rooted in self-trust, calm, and emotional intelligence, she no longer feels the need to chase anyone or anything because she knows that what's meant for her will come. and she trusts herself enough to know she's already enough. Chasing comes from lack. It comes from fear. It says, if I don't push, I'll be overlooked. But attraction, real attraction, doesn't come from desperation. It comes from stillness, from power, from being so grounded in who you are that you naturally draw in people, opportunities, and love without having to exhaust yourself trying to prove you're worthy of them. A woman who chases is often disconnected from her own magnetism. She's relying on effort instead of energy, on doing instead of being. But when she taps back into that deep feminine core, that quiet confidence and emotional radiance, she becomes a force without force. A woman in her feminine power radiates presence. She's not loud, she's not demanding, but she's unforgettable. People notice her without her needing to perform. She's fully herself, and she's not trying to convince anyone of her value. That's what makes her powerful. She understands that her role is not to pursue a man, but to position herself in a space of emotional alignment where the right man sees her, feels her, and moves toward her. Not because she chased, but because her energy called him in. Attraction is energy before it's ever action. You can't fake the pull. You can try all the tactics, say all the right words, play all the games, but if the energy is off, it won't last. Feminine power doesn't manipulate, it resonates. It's the reason some women walk into a room and immediately shift the atmosphere. It's not what they're wearing, it's not how they look, it's how they carry themselves. It's the way they trust life. It's the peace they radiate. It's the softness that doesn't feel weak, it feels wise. When a woman chases, she often abandons herself. She molds, she adjusts, she shrinks or stretches in an attempt to be accepted. But the moment she decides to return home to herself, she remembers, I don't have to chase what's aligned with me. She realizes that her worth is not something to be proven, it's something to be lived, and in that space she becomes magnetic. She stops showing up from a place of need and starts showing up from a place of overflow. She knows she is the prize, not because she's arrogant, but because she's aware. In dating and relationships, this shift changes everything. The woman who chases is often met with resistance. She gives too much, too fast. She overexplains, overcompensates, overextends. And deep down, she's hoping that if she just does enough, he'll finally choose her. But a woman in her feminine power doesn't beg to be chosen. She understands that love isn't something you hustle for. It's something you align with. She makes space. She listens to her intuition. And she's not afraid to walk away from anything that doesn't see her clearly. Because she would rather be alone in her peace than chasing someone who can't meet her where she stands. The feminine woman doesn't operate in force. She operates in flow. She lets things unfold. She shows interest, but never desperation. She communicates with openness, not control. Her power lies in her ability to remain rooted in herself regardless of what someone else is doing. That's what draws people in. The confidence that she won't chase validation. The calm assurance that she is already whole. And that energy becomes irresistible to a man who is truly ready to lead, protect, and build. Her power isn't in trying hard, it's in understanding that attraction isn't about pursuit, it's about alignment. And when she's aligned with her own heart, her own standards, and her own self-worth, the right person will recognize her without her needing to run after them. She doesn't chase, not because she's playing hard to get, but because she knows she doesn't have to chase what's already seeking her too.